Hi, I'm Mike DeStefano, president of the Korn Ferry Institute, and I'm here today in downtown Atlanta. We have an opportunity to sit with Mit Shah, the chairman of the Board of La Quinta Inn and Suites, as well as the CEO of Noble Investment Group and an owner in the Atlanta Hawks. We'll be talking to Mit today about CEO succession. Mit, thanks for taking the time this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
As a director, how do you think in general about the CEO succession effort?
Every board looks at their primary responsibility as being a fiduciary for the investors of the company, and looking at management, understanding their strategic plans, as well as how they're going to accomplish that with the talent that they have. As a part of all of that, every strategic plan has longevity associated to it. So there's time duration such that if you end up in a situation whereby there's a CEO change, whether it's involuntary or voluntary or some situation takes place, that a board needs to recognize that a plan of having that CEO succession is integral to them performing their responsibilities. So with that as the backdrop, I believe that CEO succession for a board becomes one of the more important things that a board can ensure that's in place in terms of the company that they're serving.
I'm wondering where you stand on this whole debate about internal candidates are better than external candidates.
Well, it's interesting. To be an actual CEO, you've had to probably have been something else, before then. And that's where I actually believe a search firm can be very helpful. Because part of the reluctance, I believe, of boards and of search committees in general are taking chances where there hasn't been a real experience level in someone being a CEO and having real facts that they can measure someone's performance against. And having the ability to actually step aside and have someone help a search committee or a board evaluate a candidate's real acumen against specific areas, I think is very helpful. Personally, on a personal level, it's very hard sometimes to say, here's an internal candidate that's going to go from being peers with a group of management to now being the leader. I mean, it's a tough situation for someone to be in, and to actually be very, very successful. I've seen fairly often, most times, where those people that are really CEO ready and those candidates actually go and go to another firm. And that's really their opportunity where they can actually create their own ability and their own track record without having those that were peers with them prior to. But I think in the case that company that I'm on the board of, we just went through, we actually really looked at the internal candidate as being a significantly viable candidate that from the very beginning. And as we went through a slew of external candidates as well, that were all sitting CEOs and an all-led organization, we found that our internal candidate that had not been a CEO really be the best fit. And a lot of it was because we were very disciplined about going through the process that our search firm led us through.
In this most recent CEO succession effort that you went through, did you employ any of these assessments and kind of the role that science either played or didn't play?
As we went through this search, we found that the technology that was available to us through the search process and the firm that we utilized was actually something that was very, very helpful for us to help quantify some of the things that we were perhaps viewed previously as very subjective. And it's something that I think is going through a lot of different industries. And you take sports, for example, the use of data and algorithms in science has become one of the most meaningful things when teams are looking at what player that they might select, and that is making its way pretty significantly into the world of companies. And so we found that tool that was able to really put our CEO candidate through a simulation, if you will, in terms of how they would perform given various data inputs and really allow a pattern behavior to emerge to be very, very helpful as we started to quantify, do we go for a sitting CEO or do we go for someone that had been in the seat but was really deemed to be extremely qualified to be in that seat, not only based on past performance, but really based on a number of the data points that came out of the simulation.
Where do boards go wrong in the succession process?
I've not been through a process that has not turned out well, or has actually been run well. But the ones that I have seen are ones where it's actually not a process. Right? It's not inclusive. It doesn't include, key members of the overall business. It doesn't include members of management. And so it feels like, hey, this is something that just took place without any real input and then without any buy-in. And I think ultimately that's what derails some of these types of hires. And I've seen that happen outside of corporate boards, and some other philanthropic boards that I've been on, where the heir apparent has been selected, or it's a one-person committee. And the way that I look at it is that not everything should be a group discussion, but the more input that you get from various different folks that have different skill sets and also have different leadership styles, I think is very, very helpful in terms of making a decision that's best for the business.
If you boiled it down to just a couple components or kind of success criteria, looking back, the lessons that you've learned, what do you say are the couple of things off the cuff that are most important to finding and picking a great CEO?
I believe going through this search process as many times that I have, it's really important to be aligned with a firm that can actually allow you to think about the universe of candidates in a broader way. I think all of us, we kind of walk into these situations and say, I know this person, I know this person, I know this person. But allowing there to be someone that is in between, that's working as a partner, to help you not only evaluate the opportunity to which to present, but then also to have those candid conversations and take perhaps some of the rub out of it. I'll remember one specific search that I went through where I actually had two advisors that were along with me, external advisors, to help me in a senior search for our company. And once the search firm was in place and working with the advisors, both advisors told the search firm that they were interested in the opportunity because they didn't really understand the magnitude of what the entire opportunity was. And it really made me realize that choosing that right partner on the front is important. The second part is really having an open mind. And I think that one of the things that we kind of go through it is that you've got some thoughts. This is the kind of person we were looking for. This is the kind of process that wants to unfold. But allowing that trust, if you will, to work with a firm and to work and really open your eyes to different candidates. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been there where you've looked at a resume and you've said, well, this is going to be a short conversation because I just don't think this person fits, and you end up spending a significant amount of time and walk away, wow, this person had tremendous abilities and really exuded a great amount of confidence. The last part is really being able to be decisive. In that, much like anything else, there's not going to be anything that's going to be, no one's going to arrive that's going to be the absolute perfect in every respect, but really having a key set of metrics that you want to define your leader, and then being decisive, once you've gone through that process.
Mit, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Thanks for talking to us today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.